Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday, and welcome to The Lock Shop. Nielson and Jake with you today. I'm coming at you from the Westmount Boston Pizza. If you're looking to pop by and pop out somewhere for lunch today, Tommy and I will be here for the oil stream as well. They've got the $15 lunch ready in less than 20 minutes where you get a free one. And, of course, it's Pasta Tuesday all month long at Boston Pizza. I got this little piece of Velcro on this cable, and it keeps sticking to my sweater. It's gonna drive me nuts. Jake, it was gonna be a 4-man weave. Then Huss took off to Arrowhead. Then it was gonna be a 3-man weave, and P. Gregoire got busy today. So it is you and I, Jake. But I very much look forward to recapping Huss's pick, passing along P. Gregoire's as well, and then diving in. This was a tough week. I thought it was a tough week. How you doing, buddy?
I'm still struggling with the board myself here, Dusty,
I know.
So I'm totally with you. It's these big spreads are just tough to pick, right? Like, some of the numbers feel so big, but the reality of things is one of these bigger spreads is getting covered by the favorite. More than likely, one's getting covered by the underdog, and you got to decide where the third one's going, right? So, outside of the Baltimore and Buffalo game, it's going to be a tough week. I feel like we're going to have a good mix of both sides, so it's going to be up to the people to decide who made the best argument for each of these games.
It's funny because last week I felt better about the board, and like my 3-3 was the best we could muster up last week. This week I'm actually not feeling too great about it. So I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign or what. I love over in the nasty chat, and who's the guy? Yeah. VR Montenegro says, I'm still all Randy from Dusty's Tees today. I did put together that little tease. What we get it at? Plus 210, and it's on the exclusives page, Jake?
Yeah. So I talked with you, and we moved a couple of the lines just to get them down another half point. So, if you teased the one that Dusty said and took the Chiefs to 2 and the lines to 3, you can do that right at Coolbet. I think it gets you to plus 200 on its own. Well, we got a half point on both of those, and it's higher than that, on its own. So you're still getting a better number than even if we had the 2 and the 3. It's down to 1.5, 2.5. That's available right now. Lock Shop exclusives plus 210. And then you guys were on there yesterday talking about. I
see this number right now.
Jaden Daniels to lead, I believe, was it passing yards, and then Derrick Henry to lead rushing yards for the divisional round, plus 31 to 1, I think, plus 3,100, 3,100 over on the exclusives as well. So a couple there. I don't know if Huss is going to send me something later on in terms of parlays, but we'll see. There's also the EST Early Bird up in the combos, the Lock Shop Bowl. If you scroll through the combos, a ton of UFC right now, but the Lock Shop Bowl is also still there. I believe it's like plus 415 range. That's Chiefs and Lions both to be in the Super Bowl. So still some great options there. And then, we're going to have probably something, 1 or 2 more plays, I assume, for this weekend to come.
Well, we definitely will. And it's funny because Big Uke says EST parlay cash yesterday, the Lock Shop partner parlay cash yesterday, and the For the Community cash yesterday. So we've gone back-to-back with EST parlay. So kind of riding pretty high right now heading into this weekend. Quickly, we're going to get to the NFL today, obviously. You've got Pat's picks. Huss was on all of the favorites yesterday, which surprised me a little bit. But just quickly in the National Hockey League last night, because we did hit that Lock Shop partner parlay, and the EST one hit. Needed a nice comeback from the Oilers there to get it done. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs hit as well. Jake, let's just hit on the Leafs quickly. No John Tavares, but they got it done. They got it done last night. How do you think they hold up without JT in the lineup?
Yeah, I was in the building last night, actually. It was a roller coaster ride, Dusty. I got to say that. I'll get to the Tavares thing in a minute here. But every time the Leafs kind of came back and they'd score to tie the game, it seemed like Oliver Ekman-Larsson was trying to find a way to lose the game. He'd take a bad penalty, New Jersey would score again, and it was kind of a fight, back and forth. They end up tying it. Matthews played great. Willie played great. And then the OT winner, Marner hit Nylander on a great pass to set him up on the breakaway.
That breakaway looked easy.
It was pretty. So, exciting times. But, without Tavares, it's going to be tough. They're not that deep up the middle, right? You look at the Leafs, with Tavares in the lineup, it's usually Matthews, Tavares, and then Domi's kind of that 3C, and Camp kind of plays a 4C. So, when everyone's healthy, it's fine. But I think even Leafs Nation is like, this team definitely still needs, a more solidified 3C, maybe a shutdown guy, move Domi up to one of the wings in the top 6 and, find a way that way. We'll see if that ends up happening prior to the trade deadline, but maybe this is, kind of that kick in the butt to Tree Living to be like, hey, we're not deep up the middle. You can bring up a guy like Fraser Minton, but he's still pretty young. Like, how much faith are you going to have in a guy like that getting into the playoffs? Maybe this is the time Tree Living starts looking around, finds the 3C a little earlier than the trade deadline, and they're set up a little better when Tavares does come back. So, yeah, that's kind of where they're at right now. They'll be fine. Like, they're still sitting in the top of the Atlantic right now. They get a few points on Florida with the same amount of games played. So, not too concerned. They had a bit of a skid there. First like 3-game losing streak in regulation since like this time last year. And, obviously the world is burning here in Toronto when something like that happens, including myself. You get a little nervous, especially when they're not playing their best. They're not scoring a lot. But Nylander had been on a bit of a cold streak. I said it in the chat yesterday. Like, yep. He had 1 goal in his last 7, 1 point in his last 7 games, 3-point night last night, including the game winner in overtime. So good to see. And he even said to the media prior, he's like, it's 3 games. Everyone needs to like relax a bit and settle down. And, they get back on track. And the other thing is like, it's a good little run they got here. Montreal's been hot as ever. They're like the hottest team this month, 11-2-1 in their last, 14.
It's crazy. That's a wild run, buddy.
Yeah, 14. So we're playing them at some point during this run. Columbus, who's been pretty solid as well, and Tampa. So it'll be interesting the next few games here to see how they kind of shake out without Tavares in the lineup.
Hey, I got to know, where are you today?
So I'm at my girlfriend's place right now.
Okay.
There's a little side dining area.
Yeah, it looks so different. I was like, where is this guy?
Different than usual. So, yeah, okay. I'm set up there right now because we went down to the game. She lives in Markham, which is just north of Toronto. It was just a little easier to get there for puck drop, and then stayed over here last night and, dialed in for the day.
Okay, yeah, you're locked and loaded here. Hey, just sticking with the NHL last night, Ovechkin gets the only goal of that game, 1-0 overtime win. He's 21 away. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also excited because that Four Nations tournament should give us a good opportunity with you guys at Coolbet to reset the odds and the futures and everything. Like, we're going to have to get like a number on, I don't know what.
Sorry, Dusty. I'm not hearing you really well on my end, so I was catching kind of what you were saying there. I don't know. Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I'm catching you kind of in and out here. Big Maple said it's not me.
Yeah, Big Maple said it's not you.
Okay, that's fine. I knew what you were kind of getting at, and if people can hear me, I'll kind of talk on it. Yeah, we're going to get, a good setup here. You got to remember the Four Nations is like our all-star break this year, right? So no all-star break, which I'm kind of happy about. All-star break is a bit boring in my opinion. I don't think people necessarily love to bet it. We do put out some betting options, but not necessarily, my favorite thing in the world. I'm excited. We're going to get some best on best competition, something we haven't had in a while. But yeah, it's going to set up nicely here for some of those props to roll back out. I think Four Nations runs just over a week, February 12th to the 20th. So, they'll take a little break with the NHL. We'll get going there. And we should get the update for Rocket Richard, who I think your guy Leon's leading right now. We should get some Art Ross updates, Hart Trophy, all the ones that people like to bet on. Vezina, I think I know we don't update them as often, but I know some of the other big boys out there have Hart Trophy odds out, back out. Apparently, Connor Hellebuck's sitting at the top of some of those lists. So it's something we've talked about.
Oh, wow.
It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens here in the next few weeks. I mean, he had another great game last night, 1 goal against and another win for Winnipeg. Like Huss texted us, he said, I don't think the Jets are ever going to lose again. So
he was pretty happy. Can you hear me now? Am I back?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I want to get financially invested on when Ovechkin breaks the record. So we'll see. We get a nice reset here during the Four Nations. It should be that should be pretty good. All right, if you are watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. You can fire us a text anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Huss gave us his best bets yesterday. He did pick a touchdown score too, didn't he? Did he take Derrick Henry? I'm trying to think. Who did he?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Somebody on the chat would have been watching yesterday. I was thinking about this. I had his picks written down, but they're in my book that's back at the office, and I'm at Boston Pizza today. So I'm trying to think who his touchdown score was. But what did you think of him being on all four favorites? Kind of surprised me a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting tactic. You got to remember, Huss is also the guy who didn't win a pick in the first week. I know he had the Lad McConkey. He kind of riding that Lad McConkey train. Like, well,
he's milking the Lad McConkey as much as he can.
It's totally fine. I mean, Huss delivers winners all the time.
Jake, we'll be in a situation like 10 years from now, and I'll be like, remember when you were 0 for 6 in wildcard weekend in 2025? And he'll be like, yeah, but Lad McConkey hit it 12-1.
Remember Lad McConkey? I told you guys, leading receiver for the day. Yeah, no, it's an interesting tactic. Dusty, like I said, I'm not really comfortable with any of these games. Like, none of these games I can sit here and pound the table for. I think there's arguments for both sides. So, I don't necessarily want to be like, oh, he's pretty crazy taking all the favorites. I do think the likeliness that all four favorites will win and cover is slim. But at the same time, like, how often have we seen that happen? Especially this season, favorites down the stretch were hitting at like a historic rate, and the public was cashing in big. So, it's not crazy to say that, especially these big favorites can win and, if not cover this weekend. I think I'll probably start to put together some combos. I think one of the combos will be, those three big favorites on the money line and just get a nice little boost on that. Because I'm sure people, if anything, you don't want to take the team to cover. If you can get the Lions, the Eagles, and the Chiefs all to win with a bit of a boost on it, like, I'm sure people would love to take that. I've considered taking it all week. I'm just having a hard time, like, wrapping my head around taking big favorites. Like, it's so hard, but yeah, it's not an awful tactic.
Well, let's get into it here. And, I'd be curious for everybody listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, or if you're watching over on YouTube today, give us your best bets for the weekend as well. We had Huss's, and he is on all the favorites as of yesterday. He is on the Chiefs -8.5. He's on the Lions -9.5. He's on the Eagles, which kind of surprised me a bit considering he hates the Eagles, but he's on the Eagles -6, and then he is on the Ravens, which is just a money line play. That was at 1.5 yesterday. It has moved back to 1. I'm live from the Westmount Boston Pizza today. We're going to be here for Oil Stream today as well, and they've got $15 lunches that we'll have ready for you in less than 20 minutes. And obviously, every day is past a Tuesday in January at Boston Pizza. All right, you've got there's a few things I want to do. So we got Huss's picks already. I'll text him about his TD score for the house callers. You've got Patty's picks and a house caller pick from him. You and I should build some sort of player prop parlay throughout the weekend as well. Pick 3 or 4 and put together a nice little player prop parlay. But let's get into it. Huss was on the Chiefs -8.5. Give me Patty's pick, then give me yours, and then I'll chime in and we'll work our way through there.
Okay, so Patty's on the other side. He's on Texans +8.5. And I'm going to join him there. I think it's just one of those situations where, Mahomes, Andy Reid off the bye, like, I think they're absolutely going to win this game, but they've been struggling to cover the spread, especially the big numbers. Like, you look at Mahomes as a favorite of 7 points or more in his career, 22, 32, and 3. So, not that impressive. And he's 15-27 as a 7+ point favorite since 2020. So, 36% clip as a big time favorite. And this year, he's been a bit of a struggle. Like, 5-1 against the spread this season as a favorite of 7 or more, but 6-0 straight up. 6-0 straight up. So they have not covered a game of 7+ this season, but they haven't lost a game when they're 7+ point favorites. So that's kind of that's the range I'm sitting in, where it's like, we have the Chiefs on so much rest. Mahomes hasn't played. He didn't play week 18, didn't play last week with the bye. and now sitting in a great spot. I do think the Chiefs will win this game. I think they're going to make their way to the AFC Championship, but I do think the Texans can keep it close. And it's not necessarily the Texans' offense that I have like the faith in. It's that defense that's been really, really impressive this season, especially down the stretch. Like that, you need to lean on that defense. I know Andy Reid and Mahomes will have a great game plan in mind, but if you can just keep it close down the stretch, give yourself a chance to win late in the game, I think that's all the Texans are thinking right now. So 8.5 is a lot of points. I'm on the Texans. Patty is on the Texans as well.
I think like my notes for these games are ridiculous. And I don't know if I'm cutting in and out a little bit right now. Tommy, when you use this, do you just go Wi-Fi or do you go hardline it? All right, you want to work on setting that up maybe? I wish I could share them with everybody because it's like I went in and I'm still like, as of this moment, I'm not sure where I'm going. Like I went into this. Like, I don't have much faith in CJ Stroud, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, if I'm taking the Chiefs in here, it's a total fade of CJ Stroud. I think that's what would lead me to take the Kansas City Chiefs if I was going to go there. Because, CJ Stroud has not played well really at all this season. I'm not even sure how much you're supposed to read into what they did against the Chargers, but that was heavily defensive driven. CJ Stroud on the road at Arrowhead in Kansas City. I have a feeling there could be a little bit of an implosion coming for CJ Stroud, which is why I'm tempted to get on the Chiefs here. But your 0-5-1 stat as favorites, it just blows me away that they haven't been able to cover big spread basically the entire season. So, man, I am so torn on this. I think I'm gonna ride with Huss and the Chiefs. I think it's gonna be too much for CJ Stroud. And the Kansas City ends up, damn it. I don't know if I've ever had this much trouble with pick. Man, 8.5, such a big number. I hate this week. I absolutely hate this week. What do you think the Texans offense is going to do here? Like,
I was just going to say to you, like, the winning.
Can their offense score 16 points? Because if they do,
the winning formula in my mind is clock management, possession of the football, and just kind of like CJ Stroud not necessarily having to be a hero. If CJ Stroud's got to be a hero in this game, I think they're in trouble. I think it's just he needs to be a game manager, get the ball to Mixon, get the ball to Schultz, get the ball to Collins, and just work your way down the field, eat clock, and don't turn the ball over. It's about taking care of the football. I said it last week with the Chargers, and what did they do? Throw 4 interceptions, did not take care of the football, and got smoked. If C.J. Stroud doesn't take care of the football, this is going to be a long day for him and the Texans, and it'll probably be a Chiefs cover. I think it's about game managing. I think it's about trusting your defense. It's okay to punt. And, 16 points. That's the one thing with the Chiefs, too. As stagnant as that offense has been most of the season, that defense has been stellar, and that's the reason they've won a lot of football games. You look at that total, it's one of the lower ones on the board. I think it'll be the lowest total in Mahomes' home playoff career, or his home career, like under 43.5, which is pretty, like 41.5 right now for this total for Mahomes and Stroud. Like, I think 2 years ago, we would never expect a total this low for a Chiefs game. But with the Arrowhead weather, with it being 2 stellar defenses that we've seen down the stretch, I actually do lean to the under in this game. And that's why, if I'm leaning under, that's why I lean underdog. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's a lot of the times, if I expect there to be a lot of points, I expect the team as a favorite tends to cover. But I expect if there's not going to be a lot of points, there's a lot better chance that the underdog stays within the number.
Okay, I'm going on the Texans. I'm riding the Texans. You make a good point in a low-scoring game, and then spread that big. Okay, I'm gonna roll Texans plus 8.5.
I'm gonna hate sitting here on Monday and you being like, you twisted me, you turned me, Jake. It's
no. What'll be really bad, buddy, is on Tuesday when Huss comes back, the Chiefs have covered, and all three of us are on the bloody Texans.
Right.
Like he'll never let us live that down. So I'm on Houston. I feel like it's going to be like 24-17.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like highest. That's the highest it's going to be. So yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Let's go Texans plus 8.5. So three of us are on the Texans there, and Huss is on. You know what? After last week, it's not bad to fade Huss. He's not here. We'll just say it.
That's
true. You go 0-6. We'll fade it. We'll see what happens.
Or he's due. Could go either way.
The classic playoffs, or he's due. Hey, if I disconnect, I will be back right away because I just plugged in the hard line. So if it kicks out for some reason, just know I'll be back right away. All right. Let's get to the second game, the Detroit Lions, Saturday night. I cannot wait to settle in. Tammy's like, you should go out with some people and watch this game. I was like, no, you be quiet. I want to sit in my basement by myself and watch this football game. No interruptions. Just leave me alone, because if they somehow get upset, I'm going to be in full-blown meltdown mode. Detroit are 9.5-point favorites. I honestly thought Huss might be on the Commanders in this situation, but he took the Lions minus 9.5. What do we got for a Patty pick?
Patty is going with the Lions as well, minus 9.5. He just sent me his picks. I don't have his explanation, but
he didn't give you a one-sheeter on each game, like
he didn't.
Everything?
No. I would have loved that though. I could have broke down some of his points. I'm going to take the Lions as well, though. I mean, with the extended rest, I know we talked about the Chiefs. The difference between the Lions and the Chiefs is the Lions have covered big spreads this season. The Lions have blown teams out. Like, they have been impressive all season. And it doesn't matter if they're the public side or they're the sharp side. They find ways to win and cover. The Lions on extended rest, extended prep time, under Dan Campbell, 12-4-1 straight up, 13-4 against the spread, which is the second best mark against the spread since 2021. Only guy better right now, Mike Tomlin, who we don't even know if he's going to be in with the Steelers next season. Yeah. And then when Detroit and Campbell are favorites on extended prep, 11-2 straight up and against the spread. Like, this guy thrives getting his team ready for these games. And, they had to play in Week 18. They had to get that number one seed. But you know what that got them? The bye and this extended rest time, coming in against a rookie quarterback who, was super impressive last week against the Bucs. Found a way to win. They didn't punt at any point in the game, which is super impressive. I think the Lions are a step above the Bucs. I know the Bucs beat them earlier this season, but how far the Lions have come, it looks like we're going to get Montgomery back, Dusty. I don't know if you have more information there, but he's listed in the props.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. Yeah.
So, I think he adds a different dynamic, even if it's limited amounts. Like, just with him in the backfield, it's a totally different look than what you're getting out of the speed of Gibbs. So I just think the game plan is going to look really good. The rest is going to help the Lions. It's a big number at 9.5. I know Jaden Daniels has been impressive all season. He's been your guy in the Spite League championship that you won this year. I just think the Lions know how to cover. I don't think you want to leave. If you're the Lions, you don't want to leave any room for error, like, down the stretch. Like, you take care of business, you get up big in this game, and you move on to the NFC Championship.
I think I'm going to come with you guys. I was looking at the Commanders so far this year. I'm just looking at all of their losses. Week 1, they lost by 17 to the Bucs. The rest of the season, they did not lose by more than 8 to anybody. They lost by 8 to the Eagles. Week 14. Then they beat the Eagles later in the season. They lost by 1 to the Steelers. They did lose by 8 to the Cowboys. And since then, they have not lost. So they have not lost by 10 points or more since week 1 of the season, which is what would have to be required here. I think I'm going to get on the Commanders here. I think Jaden Daniels has at least a backdoor cover in him. I don't know if I'll ever truly be sweating this thing, but I mean, could the Commanders be down by 15 with 4 minutes to play? Yeah. And could they drive the field and score a touchdown and cover? Yeah, I think they could. So I'm gonna go against the grain here and actually go against. I mean, the Lions are going to win this football game. I will be absolutely shocked if they lose it. But 9.5 is a massive number. So I'm going to get on the Commanders here.
I think we're losing you again, Dusty.
Hang on one sec. Let's see.
Oh, there you are.
I'm back. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'll flip that over. No, but Jaden Daniels, he doesn't look like a rookie to me. And I don't think a banged up Detroit Lions defense flusters him enough to make it a 15-point blowout. So I'm going to go with the Commanders plus the points, knowing that the Lions are going to win this football game anyway. So,
yeah, no, I definitely like the Lions to win. Obviously, the number is so big. And like I said, I'm not confident with I sit here, I'm going to make my points, but I'm not sitting here with uber confidence in any of these picks. I do think there's a genuine argument for both sides. So
yeah, there is.
That's why we're going to be on different sides here, and I totally get it. It's a lot of points, and Jaden Daniels has been super impressive. Like you said, outside of the big loss early in the season to the Bucs, they've kept it close. I do think the Eagles kind of threw away that game against them down the stretch. Not that they meant to, but just kind of ugly performance down the stretch in the fourth quarter. I do think there's been a lot of bounces that have gone Washington's way as well. And, eventually you think that would run out. I could be absolutely wrong, but we're gonna find out on Saturday night. I'm excited for you, Dusty. I think this is one of the best chances the Lions have to win the Super Bowl. I mean, they're Super Bowl favorites. I don't know how much you read into that, but it's been tough going there in Detroit. And, we're going to get to the other game, but another team that's had tough going, that's in tough on Sunday night is the Buffalo Bills. And, I'm hoping for Patty's sake, they can find a way to get it done and give themselves a chance for a shot at the Super Bowl.
I'm excited for me too, Jake. So thank you very much for passing that along. All right. So I'm on the Commanders 9.5. Everybody else is on the Lions minus 9.5. Rams, Eagles, the first of two on Sunday, 6-point spread. This line has not moved all week. First of all, let's just start there. Are you surprised that it hasn't moved all week?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little surprised. I actually thought enough money would be coming in on the Rams side that it might kind of swing. But if it swings, towards towards the Eagles and it goes down to 5.5, 5, it's kind of that dead zone anyways. So I think, when you're sitting it at 6, if a lot of money was coming in maybe on Philly, we could see it go up to the 6.5 number. But I think enough money's come in on the Rams that, we're sitting in a spot where it's okay, the Rams are getting enough of the, public sharp money that we're happy with where it is. Because, like I said, the minute you move down to a 5.5, you're kind of in a dead zone anyways. If you wanted the 5.5, you think the or you think you like the Eagles, 5.5 minus 5.5 is minus 118. It's really not too bad if you wanted to take that half point. But yeah, 6 is where it sits right now. It's been kind of sitting there all week. You want me to start with Patty's picks and then we'll go?
Yeah. Let's see what I'm interested to see where I think I know where Patty's going on this, but maybe I'll be surprised. What has he got?
So Patty, as he's done all season, he's fading the Eagles again. He's taking Rams plus 6. And Dusty, that was my initial lean. Rams plus 6 was where I was going to go. I think this is a fade myself game, and I'm going to take the Eagles. I think you look at that game last week against the Packers, and I know the Packers kind of limped into the playoffs. Not necessarily a team that, but we thought that was kind of that big pick to be ooh, maybe the Packers as a 7 seed can upset the Eagles. What a bad draw for the Eagles. The Eagles really took care of business against the Pack. I know it was kind of tight late, but you think about Barkley was about to break for another touchdown there late in the game. He slid down because the game was over. The game on the scoreboard could have looked a lot differently if that was the case. But, they still won by 12 points to a Packers team that people were pretty high on. And I think, once again, the Rams are going to be that pick that everyone's ooh, the Rams, won a Super Bowl not too long ago, powerful offense. Even the defense looked really good last week against Minnesota.
Awesome last week.
But the Eagles, they've just been rolling, and I want to fade them. I don't like the Eagles. I want that on the record. But it's just one of those things where I'm I think I just need to fade myself. Trust the Eagles' run game. That O-line has been incredible all season. We're going to see the difference between what the Eagles' offense looks like and what the Vikings' offense looked like against that Rams team last week. Darnold was holding the ball for way too long. He took 9 sacks. just ugly, ugly performance. And the Eagles, you look at what they did against the Packers last week, it wasn't that impressive on offense, and they still won by 12 points. That defense has been really solid. Those 2 pickups they got in the draft this year, DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, have been so good for them. Like, you're able to get guys on rookie deals playing at that level. It just makes your team that much better. And, I think the Eagles are the toughest competition in the NFC outside of the Lions. And I think that's, ideally, that's probably the matchup that Roger Goodell and the NFL want. Not saying that anything's rigged by any means. But I think there's a reason it's 6 points. I think the odds makers got it right. It's right in that sweet spot where it's like, could go either way, like we've talked about. I've been fading the Eagles most of the season, but I'm going to ride with them here. It might be good for – I don't know if I've been on the right side of an Eagles game yet this season, whether I'm on them or against them. So, if that's a reason to fade me, I totally understand as well.
Both of these teams are covering machines. Like, the Rams have covered the spread in 7 of their last – or 6 – in 7 of their last 9, they've covered the spread. And Philadelphia has covered the spread. Oh, no, sorry, just a sec. Philly's covered the spread in 8 of 10. The Rams have covered the spread in 7 of 10. Like, both these teams are absolutely spread covering machines. Like Jordan Love last week, they were banged up. They lost bodies during the game as well.
Yeah,
I just think Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua can do a little bit of damage against this Eagles defense. And I know some people have been talking about, the weather there, but the Rams can run the ball with Kyren Williams as well. I think Kyren Williams is one of the more underrated running backs in the National Football League. Now, is he Saquon Barkley on the other side? No, but I think with what you've seen from the Rams defense, at least last week, you have to think they'd be able to contain him as much, hold him to 100 yards, just so that Saquon doesn't go off. And I'm not too sure where my faith is in Jalen Hurts right now. Yeah. I don't know how much faith I have in Jalen Hurts right now. And it's a big number. And I think the Rams could upset and win this game. So I got to take them +6. I'm going to get on the Rams +6. So me and Patty will be on the Rams +6 points. And you're riding with Huss on the Eagles -6 points, which brings us to.
Yeah, hold on. The one thing I'll say about the Rams, Dusty, like you talked about the running attack. What makes that running attack so impressive, Kyren Williams is a great back, but it's the way their receivers can block for the run down the field. Like
receivers,
that's
right.
Yeah, like that Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, like when they're on the field, they're a threat to catch, absolutely, but they're also a threat to block, and that's what opens up the run game and what opens up the play action game for the Rams. Like, listen, I love the Rams. I was, if it weren't for such a bad weekend leading up to that game, I should have smashed the Rams because I'd had that one similar to the Bills game. I was all over that, but I got a little scared, and you can't bet scared. It's not the way to go. So yeah, I totally understand that side as well. Like I said, I'm kind of fading my brain. My brain says Rams, and in this instance, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the Eagles. It feels like a lot of points for a divisional game, but I just think they've been so good defensively. They've been able to run the ball. It's playoff style football. Hurts hasn't looked his best, but another week of practice. He didn't practice a full week last week. So another full week of practice here, getting it healthier. We didn't even see AJ Brown really activated last week. I don't know. We'll see. I don't have the script. If I did, I'd be laying out all the winners right now. So that's kind of just where I'm leaning. But I totally understand the Rams.
Do you see AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline this weekend?
Apparently he does it like good or bad, but
how is that not popped up before this week on TV?
Apparently another picture did circulate after the fact. I didn't see it, but I don't know, Dusty. I think if they're up, I don't think we're going to see anybody reading a book. But the cameras are going to be hunting him down, between drives, trying to see if he's grabbing that book. He's almost going to be forced to grab that book. Did you see that book jumped to like #1 bestseller at Amazon after that game? Like how crazy is that?
I didn't know about it till Herm Edwards told me about it this morning. I was like, oh, I did not know that was #1. Klingberg is joining the Oilers. So we'll get to that on the Oil Stream coming up at noon. I don't know what that. Anyway, let's continue with the football picks. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. All right, Ravens and Bills. Huss is on the Ravens. As a football fan, man, I cannot wait to settle in on Sunday night and watch this football game. I deep down inside believe both of these teams, either one who comes out of this, will roll into Arrowhead and come away with a win, an upset, if you want to view that, against the Kansas City Chiefs, because I think both of these teams at their best this year are better than what we've seen from the Kansas City Chiefs so far. So Huss is on the Ravens. Well, man, Patty, I mean, he's got to be on the Bills in this game, doesn't he?
Patty does not like to bet on his teams, and he is showing it again this week. He's going Ravens -1. I think it's a happiness hedge, right? You're sitting in a spot as a Bills fan where you're just praying you can get to another AFC championship, praying you get another shot at Mahomes and going to a Super Bowl. You know, it's been so good for the Bills in terms of, like, you know, winning the division, getting in these games, and then they just tend to fall short. I know this is supposed to be kind of a gap year for the Bills, or whatever you want to call it, kind of a jump year. They lose Diggs. People don't expect them to be as good, but I thought they were really impressive. Like, they spread the ball out really well. James Cook runs the ball really well. Kincaid, Knox had a great game last week. Shakir, they got Amari Cooper, who really, you know, hasn't factored in as much as you'd think, but they just have so many options, and like that's what makes them such a threat. Now, when it comes to Baltimore, they've already crushed the Bills this year.
Yeah.
They run the ball super well, and the threat of Henry and Lamar in the backfield is so noticeable. We saw it last week with the Steelers. Like, when you think the ball is going to Henry, it's an option play, and Lamar's running for a first down. Just when you think Lamar's going to jump out of the pocket, Henry's running up the gut for 12 yards. Like, it's so impressive what they're able to do in the run game. And then the minute you get into a play action, you open up the field for a deep shot, Rashad Bateman, 30 yards, or, you know, Mark Andrews through the seam for, 15 yards. Like, they can attack you in so many different ways, and that defense has been so impressive. This might be the hardest game of the four to pick because it's so close. I know why Patty's on the Ravens. I know why most people, I feel like, are on the Ravens.
You're doing the Bills? Are you going Bills?
I'm going on the Bills. I'm taking the Bills. I was on the Bills last week. I know they played Denver, and it's not really a game that you can – it's not a measuring stick game, but I don't think the Steelers is a measuring stick game either. They've already seen the Ravens once this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm leaning into, like, the Bills got to get it done at some point. I texted some of the Bills fans in my phone after Vrabel signed with the Pats, and I said, guys, I really hope you guys get it done this year because you're not going to have many more years of this. So
you greasy bugger.
I don't know. I'm kind of like maybe I'm leaning into it a little too much, but in support of my friends, in what I believe to be a more impressive Bills team than people make out to be. And then, the Ravens are one of those teams where I think another side where a lot of the public is going to be on the Ravens. It's still in Buffalo. I know the Ravens play in cold weather too, so I don't think that's going to be a huge factor. And when you run the ball as good as they do, it doesn't really matter where you play. The weather can absolutely favor you. So, but the Bills' run game solid as well. You have the same situation. I know Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are two different running type of quarterbacks, but Josh is a quarterback that has played so impressive in the playoffs. And a lot of the times it's been the defense that's let him down. The defense has got to prop him up this week. They got to find a way to get it done and get themselves to an AFC championship game to, likely play the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Bills, but like I said, it's probably the hardest game to pick of the week. And I totally understand, with how impressive the Ravens have been on both sides of the football, why people might be leaning Ravens.
Like I said, I can't wait to watch this game. But here's how I'm justifying my pick of the Ravens. I think they should be the Super Bowl favorite right now. I do. And nothing against the Detroit Lions, nothing against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Ravens with the 1-2 punch between Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, if they can avoid the penalty trouble that they got sucked into during the regular season, I think that it's too much to handle. It's too much to handle. I don't think the Buffalo Bills will be able to do it. I don't want to read too much into that regular season matchup, but how can you not with how lopsided it was? I mean, I think you have to read into that pretty significantly. And we asked Herm this morning, not that this 100% plays a factor into, but we asked Herm Edwards this morning, who needs this game more? And Lamar has to have this. Like, Lamar cannot go out, right? And look, Josh Allen, they both. I mean, it's a legacy game for both of them. But I think there's more pressure on Lamar to win this football game. And you can use that as a positive or a negative. But with the season he's had, I'm using it as a positive. And the moment they brought in Derrick Henry in the offseason last year, I was like, holy shit. Like, how are you supposed to stop the best running quarterback in the league? And I think, the most unicorn running back that we've seen in a long time. I mean, he had an absolutely monstrous season. So I'm going to get on the Ravens and sit back and enjoy what should be a really, really good football game. And I pointed it out last week. Like, since week 11, when the Ravens shuffled some personnel around in their defense, they've been a top 5 defense in the National Football League, which I think kind of flies under the radar a little bit just because you have Lamar Jackson and you have Derrick Henry. So I think their defense will have a few moments in this football game that'll help make a difference as well. So I will get on the Ravens as well. So 3 of us will be on the Ravens, and you will be riding on the Bills as well. We're gonna get to our house callers. We can build a little player prop parlay here as well, but I know people are all fired up here. Jake, Klingberg was in Toronto last time we saw him. Quickly give me, we're going to get to it on the oil stream here at noon from Boston Pizza, but just quickly give me your thoughts on what you remember from Klingberg's time with the Leafs.
Yeah, I didn't get a full season out of him, but, a guy who can play kind of can probably play in your top 4 as your number, 3-4 guy, and a guy who can play on the power play. So, you get a nice, second piece there. You got Bouchard in your PP1, Klingberg on your PP2, a good, as long as he's healthy, Dusty, right? Like, that's kind of the issue we had with him, where he has this hip issue, and I think he kind of had it going into the season, played through it, couldn't, I heard he was struggling at some points to, a too long flight, sitting down on the plane and stuff like that, where it's I think he is kind of back to full health. That's why he was such a popular guy here. I think the Leafs were in on him, Oilers ended up getting him. But yeah, I mean, a guy older guy, a guy who can give you some solid minutes, good offensive power. I don't know if you necessarily are bringing him in to be a part of your shutdown pair.
Yeah, but I think definitely not doing it. I mean, he's minus 85 in his last 4 seasons, Jay. He's not playing shutdown, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, you play him in the right role, I think he can be beneficial to your team. Absolutely. I would have been totally fine, totally happy with the Leafs signing him. So I think you got a solid one. As long as he's healthy, it sets up nicely for some good defensive depth where, the Oilers were kind of looking for going into this season, with Broberg heading to St. Louis. It was one of those things you guys talked about a lot on the show was are they going to go out and acquire a defenseman? Well, guess what? You didn't have to give up anything to acquire this defenseman, and you can still set yourself up nicely if you want to make a move before the deadline.
All right, let's get back to NFL. We got about 9 minutes left here in the lock shop today. If you are in the area, we are at the Westmount Boston Pizza. We're going to be having oil stream here at lunch today. Swing on by. Every day in January is past to Tuesday, and they got $15 lunches in less than 20 minutes. You can pop in, hang out for a bit, and get back to work. All right, house callers. I thought Huss made a pick yesterday, but I can't. It must have been Derrick Henry. But anyway, who did Pat give us for the house callers?
Patty's going Kyron, touchdown machine, Kyron Williams. He can do it. He can do it on the ground. He can do it in the air. Scored last week on a receiving touchdown. I think it makes sense too, especially if you're going to be on the Rams. They're going to have to score to be in the game with the Eagles, and that one made sense to me. I'll let you go, Dusty. I kind of laid out a few, just trying to get different games. So I grabbed, since I knew Patty had Kyron, I grabbed one from each of the other 3 games. Okay. So let me know what you like, and then we can kind of talk about it from there.
Okay, man. Well, I mean, it's got to be one of the I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is scoring. It's a minus 251, but we're throwing it into a parlay. We're going to get a boost. Jahmyr Gibbs David Montgomery, he's got the second best odds. He's minus 161. Amon St. Brown's minus 137. Terry McLaurin's at plus 110 in that game. James, there are 5 Detroit Lions in the top 6 to score a touchdown in this football game. Jahmyr Gibbs, minus 250. It's chalky, but it's a parlay. I think it's an automatic. So I'll go Jahmyr Gibbs. So we got Gibbs, Williams. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, I was in that game. I was kind of looking at McLaurin. He's been a bit of a touchdown machine, and the total is so high in that game. Like, I have a hard time taking it over that high. Like, and especially the way last week went, where we thought we had that Tampa Washington over, and it was a little like the game was running a little slow, and I'm like, come on, guys, we need points. Like, let's get this thing moving. So I was looking at McLaurin there, but. We go to the Texans-Chiefs game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored, but I think when you think about the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, could be his last ride with Mahomes. I think I'm going to take Travis Kelce. He's He's not far off of the, I think, all-time lead in playoff touchdowns. I think I have the stat here, actually, if you give me one quick minute. But he's right there. I think he's 3 off the lead. Sorry, I should have had this ready on the go. Yeah, here he is, receiving touchdowns. So he's at, he's 4, oh no, sorry, yeah. No, 3 off the lead. He has 19, apologies. 19 playoff receiving touchdowns. Jerry Rice leads with 22. So he's 3 off the all-time lead. If he gets, if they find their way to the Super Bowl again, 1 in each game, he's going to be tied with Jerry Rice, the all-time leader in postseason touchdowns in the NFL. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce. I did a little I teased down his reception number to 5 in the bet builder and took him for a touchdown. I think it's like, in the plus 150 range. He's got 14 straight playoff games with 5+ receptions.
No way.
He's a lock for 5+ receptions. Because I think it's just one of those things where, throughout the season, some weeks he's great, some weeks he's quiet. But I think that when the playoffs come around and Patty's looking for his guy, it's Travis Kelce. I know they got some weapons. I know they got Marquise Brown. I know they got Xavier Worthy.
They're working Worthy in a little bit now.
They've worked in Noah Gray. Like, I get all that. But I think, when you're looking for your safety blanket, it's the same way with, Brady and Gronk. When you need your guy, you know who to look to, and it's Travis Kelce for Patrick Mahomes. So I'll take Kelce. I know it's a bit of a higher number. I'm sure people will be angry at me once again since I blew it last week with the even money, but I don't know. We can't take all the chalk, right? I mean, we're going to have to take something that's not necessarily the biggest number on the board because I assume.
No, let's just give. We got to be on Derrick Henry.
It's Derrick Henry, right?
It's Derrick Henry. So we're very chalky in Gibbs and Henry. The Kelce number, I think, evens that out. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, with those 4. Williams, Kelce, Gibbs, and Henry plus 766. Like, we're going to be over 8-1.
Oh, yeah.
So sure. I mean, that's a solid number, and I'm sure I'll hold the blame up by taking the biggest number on the board. But realistically, Dustin, we want someone from that game. We want a piece of every game when it comes to the house callers,
and that's what we got here.
It's him or Mixon. It's him or Mixon. I don't know which back is going to see more on the field in terms of Pacheco and Hunt. Down the stretch, I feel like we saw a good chunk of both. Yeah. So that's a crapshoot to me.
Look, man, in the playoffs, you don't have to justify a Travis Kelce touchdown from Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's the playoffs. They don't have many other options. I like it. I like that it's a part of it. So that's a really good number. We got about 5 minutes here, Jake. Are there any other player props that you've been looking at? Like, I've been looking at a few, like Justice Hill going to be involved in that passing game, I think, for the Ravens a little bit. His receptions are 2.5. I think I like the over 2.5. His total's 22.5, but I like Justice Hill over 2.5 catches at minus 156. Are there any other player props that you've had a chance to look at that we could throw into a little bonus here, just you and I?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's against your guys. I don't mind Terry, though. It's 68.5. If the lines are going up in this game, like, you guys are expecting Jaden to have the most passing yards this week.
Yeah,
divisional
100%.
round.
We almost wanted to throw McLaurin into that parlay as well to lead in receiving yards. So
right, that's his number one guy. 68.5 really isn't that high of a number. He's not even the highest in the game. Almond-Ra's 75.5. So I mean, you think about that passing offense. Yes, they go to Ertz, they go to Eckler, out of the backfield. But when it comes to getting the ball downfield and finding the guy, like Terry McLaurin's been super impressive this season. I'm sure he loves that Jaden Daniels is there because he's had a really nice year, scoring a ton of touchdowns and being a real threat for them. So I don't mind McLaurin, 68.5 on the yards. I'm just kind of clicking around here.
There's another one in that game that we could obviously throw in here too. Jameson Williams over 56.5. I like Because that could be 2 catches. That could be 2 catches, man. What's his receptions number at? Let's see here. Jameson Williams.
I bet you it's like 3.5.
Yeah, it's 3.5. I think I like the 56.5 more, to be honest with you.
Me too.
So
you can do it in one.
Yeah.
Dusty. Like we've seen him do it in one.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely could. So I really like Williams. And I do like your McLaurin play. And then I have Hill. That's 3. We can go with 3. But if there's another one that you don't mind, I mean, we can debate it and see who we slot in. I don't know.
Yeah, let me see. Let me look at some rush props here. Let me look at some rushing props.
What's
Mahomes over 24.5? Like, just thinking about, this is, if quarterbacks are going to run, like, this is the time for them to run, right? Like, the guys who are actually going to run. Hurts 38.5 feels like a lot. I'm just looking at
what's the Derrick Henry rush?
96.5.
Oh, geez.
Josh Allen, 45.5. I don't mind that either.
James Cook, 55.5.
That rush defense for the all season for the Ravens has been, maybe we don't need to force a rush prop. I mean, who else did you like?
Well, I mean, I always like Puka, but the numbers are always so big on that guy. It's tough to see. I'm just looking up.
Like Saquon's 110.5 rush yards.
110.5? Yeah. That's disrespectful to the Rams right there. Like, that's insane. I'm just looking.
Let me look at Mahomes' playoff game log.
No, you know what? Like, what's Lamar's rush total? 53 or something?
I think he's 53.5. Yep.
Okay, so I'm looking at like the 53.5 total. Let's just go back to December. So since December, he ran for 79 on Philly. He ran for 65 on the Giants, just 22 on Pittsburgh, but then 87, 63, and 81. I think I don't mind. I don't mind Lamar over that 50, whatever it is number either. I mean, he's gonna need to do some things to win this game in Buffalo. And
I like Lamar at 53.5 a lot more than I like Henry at 96.5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I like that. I mean, what would you like more, Lamar 53.5 or Justice Hill over 2.5 catches? Let me get Hill's game log up here too. Let me just take a quick look. He's usually pretty involved there. Like from a fantasy perspective, I was always furious because they take Derrick Henry off the field for this bloody guy. And so
he's the big.
So here's Hill. Like this is Justice Hill. 4 targets last week, 4 catches. Against Pittsburgh, he only had the 1 target. Before that, though, 5 targets, 5 catches, 6 targets, 4 catches, 2 for 2, 7 targets, 4 catches. Like he's gone over the 2.5, 4 of his last 6. I like both of those numbers. I really don't care, man. What do you want to throw in there? Like we've got McLaurin, we've got Jameson Williams, and then let's go Lamar or Justice Hill.
Let's go Justice. I mean, that was your initial.
That was
your initial
Okay.
thought. I'm just trying to see here if he is, I'm just looking at his previous playoff games. The AFC Championship last year, he's 7 targets for 4 receptions. I know that's not with Derrick Henry, but I think on third down, especially if they only need a couple of yards, he tends to be the guy Lamar looks to. And you never know with that rushing attack. Like Derrick Henry could easily go over the 96.5 and have a 150-yard game. Lamar Jackson could go over the 53.5 and have a 75-yard game, but you never really know how it's going to open up, right? You're kind of where I think no matter what, he's going to be looking for Hill, especially in the screen game, and it's only 3 receptions. So you want Hill receptions, McLaurin yards.
Yeah, and Jameson Williams yards.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, buddy. Well, let's say this was fun today, man. That was we didn't even need the other 2 guys, It was a pretty good time. Nothing against Pat and Huss. We'll talk to you on Monday, man. We'll be recapping. Obviously, it should be a great weekend on Monday. Once again, everything available over at Coolbet. If you're not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet.com, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you'll get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit. It's always a good thing. Saturday morning, go swing by, check out the combo cards, check out the exclusives. The boys have a lot going on over at Coolbet. Enjoy the football this weekend, Jakey. It's going to be a good time, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. You too, Dusty. Go Lions. Go Lions.
Yeah, Big Maple says, was that a typewriter? You always do type very hard, Jake. No matter your location, you always type it hard.
It's the keyboard. I think it just makes more noise than
Yeah, it must.
I don't know. Maybe I got strong fingers. I don't know.
That must be what it is. All right, we got the Oil stream coming up next. Klingberg to the Oilers has been confirmed. Don't go anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, turn on autoplay. That'll take you right on over. And if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart, small dose of Whale and the Wolf, and then Tommy and I live here from the Westmount Boston Pizza. That's going to do it for Lock Shop today. For Jake, I'm Dusty. Thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck tonight, and we will talk to you on Monday.